This is the Mobile Marketing Minute with your hosts, Rob Woodbridge and Greg Hickman.
Welcome back to another episode of the Mobile Marketing Minute. My name is Rob.
And my name is Greg.
All right, so mobile ad networks, mobile advertising, you see it everywhere. It kind of either drives you crazy or you see great opportunity. Let's start at the very beginning about mobile advertising. What is it?
Or you don't see it at all. Mobile advertising is essentially ad units that are displayed on mobile. And these come in many different shapes and sizes, literally. And there's rich media, there's kind of just normal banners and things like that. But you see these on websites, on the mobile website specifically. You see them in apps and things like that. So you see them, some people consider mobile advertising text message marketing. So I view advertising mobile ads like internet advertising. So banners, paid search, things like that, where you're actually seeing a display ad unit somewhere, whether it's an app or a website, doesn't matter. Text message marketing, all that stuff, I think is something completely different. But that's essentially what it is. I actually see most of them now in apps as interstitials between in games, site sponsorships. You kind of see like a brand comes in and takes over a whole site, and it's sort of like they have every single ad placement where it's really integrated. And I think the reason that we see that now is because otherwise we just avoid it. You know, people don't like ads. They have ad blockers and all of that stuff, and not so much on mobile, but we just tend to ignore it. So I think mobile ad, like seeing ads on mobile from a customer perspective, has made advertisers think about mobile ads differently, because it can't be this disruptive thing anymore. So we're starting to see new, really innovative ways to incorporate advertising into mobile that I don't even know if some have real, like, legitimate names yet. But it's at its core, seeing an advertisement on a mobile website or within an app.
I think that the biggest challenge with advertising is exactly that, is that oftentimes we just completely ignore it. It's not effective. And we seem to be satisfied with a low click-through rate because it's higher than the low click-through rate we're getting on the web. When is a good time to use mobile advertising in a campaign for any of these businesses?
Yeah, so again, it kind of goes back to some of the stuff we talked about in earlier episodes, is to, is your target customer on these sites or using these apps where your ads would even be displayed, right? When you typically do an ad buy, you're either paying a lower fee for a blind media buy, which your ad is going to be on certain types of sites, but you don't necessarily know exactly which ones, which from a mobile perspective, I'm not a fan of. Like, I hardly would ever, really never do that, especially when I'm representing a brand. I'd rather pay a premium and know exactly which sites I'm going to be on so that I can easily rule them out later if they're not performing well. But when you go about this buy, if you want to be more cost effective, you're not exactly sure. So you're targeting certain demographics, you're targeting certain behaviors, interests, and things like that. So you need to ask yourself, the sites that I can get on through these networks, is my customer spending time there? And if so, then yeah, it might be worth trying. You obviously need to see which sites perform better, but you need to make sure that, again, go where your customer goes. And your customer might not be diving deep into mobile websites that they're going to even see your ad. They might not download the apps that the network that you're working with even places ads. So that's the when, right? When your customer is there. The why is because your customer is there also. So, I mean, a good opportunity to get in front of your customer is when they're in this app experience, for example, and the only ad that they see is going to be you. And, I think that's one of the reasons you see some mobile ads performing a lot better than desktop, is because you're really only, as a consumer, being presented with this one ad. So it's like one impression, but like it's the full impression, not like the ads over here. And I never even see it because there's a bunch of other stuff that I'm focused on here, which is the the value add to, I think, mobile advertising, but also the challenge, right? Because it's the only thing you're going to see, typically it's going to be disruptive. So how do you get clever and create a non-disruptive experience where you can kind of incorporate your brand? So you kind of see, again, back to what we talked about earlier, is, you know, sponsorships, promotional things where pre-roll, you know, before you start the game, watch this quick ad and you get, you know, 5 extra points or something. So, you know, the interactivity of those ads, I think, is where the benefit comes with mobile, because not only are you only seeing one, but now you're forced to engage with it, because it's almost going to be disruptive in a negative way if it's just in your face. But if I get to interact with it and there's a value add for me as the user at the end, I might not mind it as much. And then both the brand gets value and the consumer gets a benefit.
Yeah, you know, gone are those days, right? When you like advertisements in, say, newspapers, it was so random and haphazard that you would get, you know, like a swimming pool advertisement, and there's no way that I live in an apartment building, right? So, you know, those kinds of days are gone when
Right.
you start talking about advertising, but we still see it. So this industry is still fairly immature, wouldn't you say?
I think so. And I mean, from the big brands I've worked with, I mean, it's typically right now, and this is my experience, most of the big brands out there are, for the most part, just getting started, unless you're like the Targets or, you know, Starbucks and stuff like that, that it shouldn't be the first thing you're doing when it comes to mobile. You know, I mean, like some of the other things we've talked about, mobile web, you know, SMS, like how does that tie even to your strategy? You know, those sorts of things, email, like I think are way more fundamental and foundational, that need to be in place before you go spending advertising dollars that drive to a non-mobile friendly experience, right? So I think that's a little bit of why you see some of this immaturity in the space, is because people need to be focusing on other things right now. I personally think, you know, if you're advanced, by all means, you should be diving into this stuff. But if you don't even know what we're talking about, you shouldn't be talking about mobile ads right now. You should be looking at your website and how users are engaging with that.
Don't forget to come back next week for our next episode.